Good. Okay. Just
Stella, come on.
Hello and welcome to The Verdict, brought to you by We Buy Cars and Freddie Hirsch. A brand new show taking you deeper into the analysis of rugby, specifically Springbok rugby. Test match season is upon us and we just witnessed a fantastic game between Ireland and South Africa. 1 versus 2, and luckily for us, a good win for South Africa. I am joined by my esteemed guests, pro analysts and former Springbok rugby players, Hanyani Shimange and Schalk Burger. Like I said, this is a brand new show. We want to unveil you to the hidden moments and tactical battles in the game. We take you deeper into the trenches of Test match rugby. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks, Sean. That's the biggest build-up I've received in ages. But thank you.
Well done, boy, for the first one.
Thank
That's
you.
a good intro. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Proud of you.
Thanks, Shami. I've been working on it really hard.
I can see you rehearsed that one.
The excitement's there. Eh? Test match season is on us. First test match finished. South Africa versus Ireland. 1 versus 2. What a game.
Fantastic. Look, obviously the build-up, it felt, after winning a World Cup, Scala, you want to build up like that, number 1 versus 2, the hype machine, the chirps behind the fan, the media, the build-up, everything. It was a tense game. You could sense the tension in the crowd throughout the game. But the reality is it was always going to be a game of small margins, which we're going to discuss. But the Springboks made it through, but still plenty to discuss.
And Scala, it is that, eh?
Yeah.
The margins. These two teams. So so much has been said about the two teams. Who's the best, who's not the best. 2 quality outfits. Okay, I think that everyone can agree on. But the margins are so small, and we'll go. And again, we wanna take the viewers through the hidden moments, the tactical battles that you might not see on first viewing, but that if you review it again and we take you through it, you'll be able to see that those small margins actually makes a big differences in the game, and there were plenty.
Yeah, if you talk high level and just off the top of your mind, you look at the first half, James Lowe's try that gets called back. Second half, James Lowe's try got called back. Ronan Kelly gets done for playing the ball being off his feet. Straight off the back of that, James Lowe, and you'll get it, his name comes up a fair bit. Is he in touch? Is he not in touch? What is the rule? We've got clarification on the rule. A few years ago, 2 years ago, around about the rule was if it crosses the plane of touch and you start inside, jump out, the ball is out. Nowadays, it's back to what is more logical. You can still keep the ball in. Did he get rid of that ball before his foot touched?
We'll get into that.
We'll try and get out of it. That's a 14-point swing. Then off the back of that, the kickoff, James Lowe touches it again, nearly gets charged by Cheslin Colby. Penalty try, incurs off the back of it. So like James Lowe also had 2 try assists. So let's call him 14 all for the game. But the margins is so small. Kalen Doris, we'll go through that. Great work by Salman Murat, and then off the back of that, Malcolm Marks. They score those tries. This is a different outcome at Highveld, at Loftus, and the Boks would be 1-0 down going to Durban, which is one that I think is going to be even tighter than this weekend.
Look, and you always go back. You think about a week or 2 ago and the discussions that people were having, The Bulls scrum Leinster. Does that mean the Springboks are going to scrum Ireland? No, it doesn't mean that.
Nah.
If you go back historically, the whole altitude factor, I think, Leinster going to Loftus would have learned about the altitude, how maybe some of those players adapted because Ireland were in it. They're still playing right until the end. The massive kicking game. We didn't see plenty of James Lowe's kicking game because they tried to vary it a bit. The Springboks, would they be brave enough to have a run against Ireland compared to Wales, in terms of the innovation, the change of game plan? It was a Springbok team that won without the big scrums, only 2 towards the end that counted. The introduction of the bomb squad, what impact were they going to have? So lots of things that were said before, and you look at the game and what happened, and it's a lot of questions.
So the anticipation for this game was arguably the biggest in how many years?
Yeah.
you know, post the World Cup.
We're probably the Lions because we didn't see any rugby for such a long time.
Exactly. So did it live up? Again, this show is called The Verdict, and we'll give our final verdict, you know, post-show, or at the end of the show. Did it live up to the expectations? I mean, it was electric in the stand. Did the game itself, the quality of the game, the ebb and flow of the game, did it live up to the expectations? Yes or no?
I thought it did. Yes, I thought it did. I thought it's. People think, you know, it's test match rugby, Scala. It's going to be a grind. We watched earlier on New Zealand against England. It's a grind. It's a battle. You know, it can go. You know, there's one or two differences that make. But for me, it started towards the second half. That's when the tension. You could see the crowd getting quiet. Like, okay, what's happening now?
And it actually opened up.
This Ireland team's not going away. They're sticking in it. You know, that James Lowe try that was disallowed. All of a sudden, you start thinking, gee whiz. You know, this Ireland.
This is not comfy.
It's not comfortable, and that's test match rugby.
How worried were you the last like 10 minutes of that test?
When Cheslin scored his try, I thought, okay, it's done and dusted. But then straight off the back of that, you know, they scored those two quick tries, and then you know, Jesse Creel puts a massive hit right on the 80th minute. Ball gets dislodged, I think, from Crowley. I mean, but so panicky. But like you could see that happening. You know, I think where I really got nervous is when we entered the kicking duel. So like obviously the first 40 is like, let's have a full go at it. The Boks playing with newfound width, also different structure of TB where we've got our two flankers sitting in the 15. Siya Kolisi very prominent. So too Peter Steff, who was outstanding again, by the way. And then second half, we were sort of no mistakes in your own half. You could see that quite clearly. And then Casey with that 50-22 off the back of
momentum,
big momentum shift. And then luckily for us, we were tough enough to like sort of stop them from getting any reward from their 22 entries. But the Boks, straight after halftime, full dominance for the first 15 minutes, 22 entries, silly mistake, lack of patience, intercept by Faf, you know, sloppy pass. They're not capitalizing on our pressure. You know, Andre Pollard missed a couple of easy kicks to goal as well. So all of that made me nervous for the last 20.
So let's get into that, Shimmy. Did you know, you spoke about the newfound attacking, well, not attacking shape, but certainly attacking wider from the Boks. You mentioned Tony Brown's name already. We are expecting change from the Boks. Did we expect it to happen so quickly? Because it was definitely a different approach. And did the Boks kind of catch the Irish sleeping a bit? Because I don't think they expected us to go wide so quickly.
Yeah, I thought definitely caught them sleeping. You know, you look at that four-man line out. Behind the back, Siya Kolisi, the short option, Jesse Creel using him to ram out. Usually it's Damien Dylander that does it. The forwards that were passing, the skillful forwards, Peter Steff to Toy linking, I think Bongi linking a couple of times, Eben also one or two passes. So it created a bit of width. So for me, it's a team that asked the right questions or asked different questions. Usually the Springboks, in that sort of area, it's a five-man wall, Waller try to get the penalty, get in there in a massive power game. So Tony Brown's obviously been given a lot of coaching time.
Yeah.
Okay, here's our coffees as well, guys.
Partner.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys. It is nice and cold and wet today in Cape Town. The attacking plays. So we caught them napping a little bit. Again, we're so used to in that position, probably the Boks just setting it up in that first channel, hitting it up here. Immediately we see it out the back. Congested a little bit in terms of the defense there, and then Siya does really well on the outside channels.
Yeah, and you remember before that, it was Peter Steff down the other side. So they've obviously split the loose forwards, one in the midfield. But for me, it's the ability to, once you got passing forwards, then you get width, then you're linking the whole time, Scala. You can get that ball out wider, then Siya gets it. And Siya and Peter Steff, I thought, did well in the wide channels.
So Scala, I mean, as we're trying to figure out
look how much space there's there also.
The interactive screen, but it's this.
Shoulders
I think,
turned,
it's this that I think really kind of excites me if we start seeing this from the oppositions. Shoulders turned. Here we see the 15-meter line. We've got our loose forwards, our captain in that channel, Kurt Lee in that channel. I mean, when last did we see the Boks attack with this kind of space? With this kind of space to attack in.
And
this is not the only one. We'll go to the next clip as well, later on in the game where Peter Steff and Cheslin makes massive meters as well. But it's being able to sit on the inside, like you said, Andre Pollard being an option out the back, congesting the defense there, pulling it back, having options, and then getting in that
I
wider
think where we
channel.
really caught Ireland unawares is how narrow they are on their own defense.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, they would have expected us, Damon de Allende straight down the guts, Sia Kolisi straight down the guts. So the fact that we struck on a 13 channel, and look, that's exceptional by Sia, was the biggest difference in our attacking structures this weekend.
The defense is always in recovery mode there, because as long as you can get that, you know, it's all good identifying the space, but you got to get the ball there. Again, passing forwards, linking the dummy runners in front.
Again, options. You know, you look at us here, and you have Kwagga as a ball carrier. You've got Malab on the inside ball. We see
Like in a perfect world, you want Eben to be alive, like we'll see later, like the Irish setup does. But Handre is in full motion out the back there.
Sean, it's important that...
only things, so quickly, Shim. So in an ideal world, you want Eben a little bit wider, maybe one step wider, based here, running a line off of Kwagga. Kwagga having the option of either playing him, playing France on the inside, holding onto the ball, or pulling it out the back.
Yeah,
Correct?
yeah, Sean. And I remember spending time with the rugby league. They call it push-up support.
Yeah.
So you always want to create a one-on-one. So if it's the three of us carrying and I've got the ball, then you guys keep the attention. It creates a one-on-one for me. Once it's man alone, then they can make the doubles. I thought Ireland did it pretty well in the beginning with the inside passes and all that. But what's happening there is, look, it's not as tidy as they want it to be. But once we get there, then there's options inside, outside. You create one-on-one offloads. You get more continuity and quicker ball.
Because I think in the past what also happened is like we would pull it back. We would try to do this and try to get the ball back and back and back and then get caught behind the advantage line. Because the passes were long.
The length of the pass was our biggest issue, because we weren't doing the work before the ruck. Now we've got a better idea. Yes, it's a bit messy still. But look at Robbie Henshaw. He's number 13. Look where he's defending.
Where he's at, exactly.
He's on the outside pole. Yeah.
And it's all short pass. And again, I think that's where, from an Irish point of view, what they're really good at is being in a congested space, lots of players in those positions, short passes, but with all the options, and then being able to play the right options. We are now congesting our attack a little bit more to eventually create this space on the outside, as we again will see here. So yes, you're going back a little bit, but you've got the numbers. I mean, Sia's still an option on the inside. I thought Pieter-Steph did well, yeah?
Unreal.
Right, very well. Very well.
And this is the next area where we sort of got schooled on the weekend, was at the breakdown. You know, Sia Kolisi tried to target Jack Crowley, probably did well to bail out of him. He's your first aggressive cleaner, immediate threat.
Yeah.
Straight off the back of that, Jesse Creel was outstanding and sort of was pivotal in that game, getting Pieter-Steph into space. He gets schooled by, I don't know who the opposite number is there, but he's got to be hard and fast on the ball.
Yeah, I actually think it's Crowley.
Is it? Yeah, Zach Crowley gets back up and drives him back, which forces, you know, the mistake out of Faf. It's not Faf's fault, it's our breakdown. Our breakdown was messy on the weekend, which is also a byproduct of us playing more rugby, having more linked up passes. It's not one pass ruck. So the breakdown is more vulnerable, although a lot of times I thought it was our first cleaner's fault.
Yeah, but it's also an easy clean. It's also an easy fix.
Yeah.
Scala, you think about that. We generate quick ball there. You got the rest of the team running onto the ball. Ireland are going back. Yeah. There's probably, you know, you go one or two passes towards the other side. You go coast to coast there. It's a try on the left-hand side corner, or you punch through the middle. Yeah. So it's for me that, like, you look at the intent, the mindset, and you see this and you think, gee, what could have been if that clean was good? Yeah. Chances are it's a penalty for offsides, or it's a try for the Springboks, and that's where the opportunity lies.
And credit to Ireland for the way that they dealt with the break. I mean, because that's almost a try-saving tackle and try-saving ruck as such, being able to mess it up.
Yeah.
For the Boks. Breakdown. Van der Vlier, Calendoris, pretty good on the ground throughout the game. Debatable sometimes the legality of some of it, but again showed that in crunch times those two players were able to stand up.
Yeah, Josh Van der Vlier for me is like, he's your workhorse. Like, he works and he frees up a guy like Kalen Doris, Peter Mahoney, to do some other stuff, whether it's Lanart or Kalen Doris in this carry. He was their top carrier. But Kalen Doris at the breakdown especially is not as clean as Van der Vlier. Van der Vlier won't concede penalties. Kalen Doris on a different weekend will concede 2 or 3 penalties, but he's a nuisance. Like, he gets in, plays the ball on the ground, holds your arms. We've all played against players like that just puts their body in places where it's not supposed to be, gets away with it. He also took the captaincy role on later.
Yeah.
And, it was quite hard on the referee, but like he was efficient. For me, the best player for me was Jamie Osborne on debut. And I've only really seen him play 12. And I know like for Leinster, he was, led the running meters for a long, long time for them. But like he was amazing because under the high ball, he was exceptional. So too was South Africa on the weekend.
Yeah, I thought also, you look at the breakdown, Porter conceded 2.
Yeah.
And his was similar.
Similar.
Swimming around the ruck, yeah.
McCarthy also for not rolling away. So that's probably the one area. You could see a lot of the guys, the tackler is not rolling away quick enough and almost lying there doing that. You got to roll away, get out, make an effort to get out the way. Because sometimes you see the good scrum offs, you almost get trapped in there and you slow it down and you actually put the ref under pressure to make a decision a couple of times.
Jesse Creel got caught for one where he got out the way, but then was in the passing lane.
Yeah.
So one guy that I thought did very well, and again, taking into consideration where he's coming from a knee injury, Malcolm did very well, got a critical turnover for us at the one breakdown as well. But the one area that was spoken a lot about, so, I mean, we've covered the attack. I think the attack for South Africa is looking really promising.
Yeah. To
be able to build on what we saw on the weekend. Breakdown certainly needs to improve. Scrum time, Shimmy. Did we get the reward we wanted? This was one that obviously we got penalized. Take us through this.
Look, I feel we weren't given an opportunity to scrum, I feel. What Ireland did was close our space up, almost make it a pre-engage. But then there's got to be a pressure build-up. There'll always be a little bit of movement post-engagement, but then you can see it's very passive. And the Springbok team there, that's, Ireland are fading back. They're almost not taking the pressure of the hit coming back. So it sells the wrong picture saying South Africa have been too aggressive and rushing too much. But you saw from the first scrum, Jean, a hit is meant to be like this. So if you look at it like this, and then there's a bit of movement there, but there's stability, and then the contest starts. What's happening there is these guys aren't even hitting. South Africans weren't allowed to hit, so they're sticking like that the whole time.
The other angle.
I mean, look how tight and close they are there. So you want a little bit of a pressure build-up. I thought the Springboks weren't given an opportunity to scrum, and then they were penalized almost because there was a bit of a fade going there. So all he's trying to do is they just catch up there and working forward. If the opposition goes down, you got to take a hit. You got to take the hit. You got to, apply some sort of pressure. Otherwise, you might as well penalize the team that's hitting the whole time.
And that was also like clever gamesmanship. And for the reason why that was a penalty was the second time that we've done it. Frans Malherbe did it in the first half. So, normally that now will be a short arm. But they were clever on their ball, how they managed that. They always pre-engaged, and then they soaked the hit. So it looked like we didn't have stability and we overstretched. So, we played against Australian teams of old, and Bill Youngs he was the absolute master in it. But then it's a different story on our ball, Shim.
Yeah. It's before we get to that. So it's part of the tactic.
Yeah.
It's part of the tactic of scrummaging in playing games and the mind games. So much has been said about the mind games of this game as well. But it's playing mind games with the referees as well. And, not the previous one. We'll get into this one now. The previous one that we now looked at, if you are saying that at times the opposition, they don't actually take the hit, and when you do that, then the referees make the decision that, okay, no, it's the Boks that actually started scrummaging early. Are the referees getting it right? Because
no, I don't think you got this one right. I don't think so. So you could see from the first scrum, you got to give the hit is a skill in itself.
Yeah,
it's a power. It's whatever.
Probably going to start telling us the scrummaging is.
It's 800 kilograms or whatever coming into each other. But then you got to give the team an opportunity to hit. Even though New Zealand has come up quite close, but there's still a hit. Even if it's this close, there's still that hit, and there's that contest there. Stability, the ball comes in, and then the contest starts. There it was a pre-engagement. Now there's a pressure build-up. There's always a pressure build-up. You can't lean forward there and there's no pressure build-up. So if there's a pressure build-up and someone falls back like that and you get penalized, what do you do then? It depowers the scrum.
Yeah.
So then the contest actually doesn't happen. It's actually not a fair contest. And I thought that's what happened with scrum. When we did get it right, you saw the result at the end.
Yeah.
But for me, the worrying thing about Ireland is you might get away with it for one game. You certainly won't get away with it twice in 2 weekends in a row. And it is a worrying thing from an Irish point of view.
You want it to be a contest. You want to have impact as well with the scrum.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you've got power there, we've got lots of power. In the 60th minute, Rassie Erasmus sends on 6 New Oaks.
Yeah. I was doing
Big Oaks.
I
At the same time.
I was doing sideline commentary, and I was the head of doing the subs. It was an impossible task. I basically just named every 6-1, and then in the next 10 minutes, I reeled off the guys who came off the field.
So the first scrum, when they came on, the first scrum
Is the one we just showed.
was the one. Sorry, it was after
was
50,
the long arm
one we
against
just saw.
us.
So again, they were so eager to go.
Yeah.
And again, when I speak about the tactics and the mind games in rugby, and certainly in the scrums, Ireland played it perfectly. In that, you're facing 6 new forwards. Just play a bit of a trick on them. So we couldn't get the impact immediately.
Yeah.
I think this was the second scrum after the 6 new guys came on, and the impact totally different to the first scrum we saw.
Yeah, the Springboks had to be patient. I thought even if the engagement, it's an engagement, but it's not a great one. Scala. So you look here again. No, also Ireland had made several changes.
Taking the hit though.
But at least it's a contest now.
Yeah.
The scrum is up. Then you can go. Then it's a fight. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened in the Springboks. From then on, at least there was a scrum there and it happened, and you control your own destiny and your own ball. But it's the Springboks would have been frustrated with that scrum performance. But was it their fault? I doubt that very much. I thought it probably could have been officiated probably a little bit better in terms of that, and more probably given a little bit of space to actually make the hit a contest.
When you see, we saw that picture quite a bit against Porter when they played the Bulls. When the pressure does come on, he does swing his hips out and he gets the angle on the tight head.
Yeah.
The Peter Mahani said that the Irish got caught out a little bit physically. The Boks got the upper hand, and I think scrummaging is part of that, right? So you might not get in the first couple of minutes, and it probably took the Boks about 63 minutes until that scrum to get the upper hand. But then eventually they got the penalty try as well. Are we looking for the rewards too quickly in the game?
The Springboks, from the first scrum, they'll try have a go. That's the Springboks DNA. It's what gives the Springboks energy. It's what gets the Springboks territory.
Yeah.
But then make it a contest. And I thought Ireland, funny enough, the last time we played Ireland before this game was the World Cup game. And I thought Ireland scrummed well that game. They got us on speed of engagement on the hit and all of that. So it is, they will look for they'll do it every game, no matter who they're playing against. And sometimes it takes a little bit longer. I mean, it's one of the few games we actually didn't mention ox and chair in scrums.
Yes.
If you think about, you know?
I mean, we speak about the scrum and the reward, getting reward from the scrum. We saw the this is a little bit late in the game. We saw the penalty from that scrum, but what happens
straight after
that is where the big debate comes in. So if I just play this on a little bit.
Yeah, it comes straight off the back of this.
So there was a penalty. That's the penalty kick. Okay, the penalty kick from the scrum. We're talking about reward. Now this happens. Again, a player that never stops working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look,
Same as in France. He's not meant to do that. He's not meant to charge a kick down. He chases that kick. It doesn't go out. He scores a try.
And you'll see this happen again. He nearly charged Crowley on the conversion. He got Lowe off the kickoff, straight off the back of it. This is chasing a lost cause. We'll get into that just now. But Cheslin Colby's work rate and chasing, you know, they always used to tell us when we were younger, there's no such thing as a bad kick, only a bad chase. And this is, you know, this is to that point. Like his work rate and stuff you don't see, I think, which is so important. But that's what coaches love. It's not the highlights reel of Cheslin Colby that separates him from the next winger. It's this work rate that separates him.
Okay, cool, guys. So it now becomes a James Lowe show.
Yep.
Before we get there, okay, we've got the pause moment. The law change that you spoke about.
Yes.
Okay, so that happened about 2 years ago. So initially it was if you have to be in field, okay, if the ball goes over the plane of touch, and you are in field and you touch the ball and you bring it back into field, then it stays in field. If you try and bring it back and you finish outside of the field of play,
that's
ball is
deemed
out. Okay, that changed, and the Lowe now reads the ball is not in touch or touch in goal if a player jumps from the playing area, okay, as he did,
Yeah.
and knocks or catches and releases the ball back into the playing area before landing in touch or touch in goal, regardless of whether the ball reached the plane of touch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the plane doesn't matter.
Plane doesn't matter.
plane-
Planes are out of play.
Planes out of it.
Okay, so we have determined that if, so the big question here,
Landed.
if his foot touches the ground, whilst his hands still touch the ball,
Is out.
it's out.
Yeah.
No try. The question that the ref asked though, it is a try, is there a reason not to award the
Yeah.
try?
And that's where it is.
Which
Conclusive
becomes
evidence.
extremely important because if we look at this, I mean, his foot is millimeters from the ground.
Yeah.
His hand is arguably still touching the ball.
His right hand in that instant is still on the ball, I would believe. Yeah.
And I mean, there the ball is upright. If we play this on, what are we seeing there?
What I mean,
He's landed there, definitely.
You reckon he's landed?
Yeah, he's landed
Foot's
there.
down.
Yeah, that
his
foot's
foot
down. It's there. That's the question, Schalk.
I
Is,
mean,
is his
there's
hand on
also
the
an
ball?
element for me where the ball brushes the top of his leg
Yeah.
as he flicks it back. Because you can see just like as he goes, he actually scoops it back. Can I put it this way? If this was played in Dublin, this test match, that was in touch.
Like,
He's out.
Like
That's
the-
a line out.
like the time when my good friend Ron Nogara scored a try when we were facing the other way.
Well, we were listening to John Smith. We were listening to John.
But again, so the angle doesn't conclusively show
Yeah.
that his hand is touching the ball.
Yeah.
And that is what makes it so difficult because you want the right decision to be made. And I think we're still sitting on the fence, not knowing whether it was the right decision.
And the other angle you can't really because the ball's behind his body. So you can see when his foot touches, but you can't then see whether he's released the ball or not. And there's also assistant referee that's also in the way.
We must get the CCTV footage from security. From the
Yeah,
top.
from the other side.
So you play it on from here.
It is mighty close, guys.
Play it again. There we go. Okay, there. He's landed there. See,
Does it brush the top leg there after that? Surely, no?
Well, guys, if it's the first time watching this, the try was given.
Yeah, the try
the
was
try
given.
stand.
And it doesn't take anything away from the most relieved guy in that entire group is Henry Pollard.
yeah.
Because not only his goal kicking went off the ball in the second half especially, his touch finders was also wobbling out of that right boot.
Okay, guys, so
It's still the James Lowe
it's
show.
still the James Lowe, it's still the James Lowe show. This time around, disallowed try.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, again, it was the breakdown where the issue came in. Now, right over here, we see Ronan Keller. Okay, so the try was awarded,
Yeah.
and then TMO came into play.
Yeah.
Scully, you want to talk us through this one?
So at that point of time, he's doing a great job, Ronan Keller. And this is a picture the Boks saw way too often is the breakdown. And once you get into that position, you can't get the ball back your side, can't kick it through. You can use either your knee or your foot to hook it back.
So if he was, if
he
that
stayed on his
situation,
feet.
if he hooked it back, legal
fine.
play.
Legal.
Play, yeah. Play on.
Unfortunately, what happens as he goes further, he gets knee on the ground, tumbles forward, and then he still uses his feet to hook the ball back. And when you, in our game, if you're off your feet, you can't partake. You've got to regain to your feet and then carry on.
So this is the close-up of that ruck, and if we play it through, you see Villiers there. You see the counter ruck from both sides. Keller still legal there.
Yeah.
And now in that position, now knees on the ground, out of play, and now he hooks it back.
Yeah, as his knee hits the ground, that's as far as he can go playing the ball. Unfortunately, then he uses the foot But again, as I mentioned, it's such fine margins. This James Lowe, off the back of that great finish, does a little goose step and a little fence, scores it. Unfortunately, doesn't work out for them. Very technical call. And I think, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is played in Dublin. You're not seeing that replay.
Yeah.
That doesn't get called back. So the Boks was lucky in that instant. But the correct call, technically perfect call. You can't play the ball when you're off your feet.
Try disallowed. Penalty to the Boks. Pollard misses the kick.
Yes.
It was a critical kick that, and it almost felt as if it was a momentum switch from there back into the favour of Ireland, even though they didn't score the try, because it could have been like a 10-point swing had he slotted that kick. The last 15 minutes was just frantic.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think Ireland came into their own almost when it was 14 versus 14. We saw a disallowed try from Kalen Doris.
Yeah.
How close is that?
We'll see on the replay how bloody close this was, because that ball was hovering. It's almost like it was levitating. And
This much.
and the previous one they did actually the hit and return on the blind side didn't work out for them when Joe McCarthy knocked it off a
Yeah,
pass.
it was a brilliant defense by the Boks in the first half. This time around, got a bit of a weakness.
And we go again to that, what defines the Springbok team, and you'll see it in this instance. Salman Murat with a double effort out the previous ruck. Get himself, look at he's next to the pole, they're number 19. He gets himself into like a cradle position, which is the perfect position. Then off the back of them, you've got Malcolm Mark standing there with a strapped right knee. And Salman does the damage first by rolling him onto his back. And then as Kalen Doris goes to put this down, you basically just see one big right hand of Malcolm Marks scooping it up.
That's one of the hardest. Once you've lost the shoulder battle and the attacker gets lower than you, then you almost got to grab him just before he puts the ball down. And there's a millisecond in that, there's a millisecond.
Millimeter.
It's one of the hardest things to do. Because once a guy gets low and he chases the ball, you can't see. Look how low he is there. I mean, he's going for glory. And Salman Murat just short enough.
And then the hand from Marks.
Yeah, the hand from Marks. But again, that's what made this test, I think, the tension, because Ireland just kept coming back. We'd score, then they'd keep coming back the whole time, and they didn't stop.
And ironically, they couldn't score from 5 meters out.
Yeah.
We got a kickoff off the back of it, and then they scored the most beautiful set play out of broken field play. Shimmy, that's for you.
So that's
stay there.
the last 10 minutes of the game, okay? Yes, South Africa scored. And it's almost the definition of the two teams. Power game from the Boks, getting the penalty try from the scrum, eventually getting the reward. But then Ireland kept on attacking. They played to their strength.
We're still on the James Lowe show, by the way.
Yeah, still on the James Lowe.
Second try assist of the game, no problem.
Keeps on putting pressure on the defense of the Boks and actually getting more gaps. Curtly Arendse got yellow carded, so obviously a little bit more space. But then Ireland returns to what makes them strong, what makes them good, putting pressure on the South African defense, getting their shape going and having their planned moves. Just after the Kalen Doris disallowed try, 22-meter dropout. And then we see this. Too much of James Lowe performing, and the tight five says, give it to us.
This is a thing of beauty, not only about the scrums. We'll pause it here. Look at the playmakers. Finlay Beelum on the ball, reserve tighthead. Kian Healy, reserve loosehead.
So
on the
reserve
he's the ball player.
He's the ball player.
One.
Hooker, Ronan Keller, Tyke Byrne running the shoulder line. And what they do...
Look at him there, Schalk.
Kieran Frawley occupying. You can see where Jesse Kriel's looking. He thinks, Marco van Staden thinks he's going to put a shot on the guy opening out the back. Gerard Steenekamp is the catch-up in the middle. He's seeing out Kian Healy.
But Schalk, just to go a little bit. So, defender 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Boks. Okay, keeping them honest. So, ball carrier trying to commit... who do we have here? Malcolm Marks. Kwagga staying true for Tyke Byrne on the outside option. Obviously, on the outside, Marco van Staden and Jesse Kriel needs to look for the option out the back. And then, you know, still the guys on the outside as well. The forwards and props being able, having the ability to make the right call,
And you
play
think,
the right player.
you think about players' habits. You think about defenders. So many times off kick-off returns, they'll give it to a prop to set up that ruck. You know, one pass, put your head down, try and set up a ruck, split the field halfway. Not the Irish side. This is so nice from them.
And also the movement of the forwards. Again, Cian Healy is over here at the moment. You'll see after this, he moves out that
He
way.
opens up.
Ronan Keller opens up, and then a beautiful little drop ball on the inside.
And
Boom,
that cheat
straight.
line from Conor Murray, the one every single 9 runs. This reverse angle is just, you know, it's just a thing of beauty. And this is trained. This is trained from the training field. They normally have the one where they sort of do the dummy swivel and then they pick up the 15 on the inside. They decided to switch it up. Look at that.
Yeah, and look at the numbers around the ball. But what I like, Jean, about that is also the timing, the ability for all 5 guys to come at the same time, to get it through, to get that movement right, and almost you perfectly executed. And Gerard Steenekamp must have thought, look, the easiest thing, he probably should have just stayed in his channel and not moved there. But I think Cian Healy did it so well and saw that dummy, almost like a center going out, that you sucked them in, opened up the hole into the middle.
He wouldn't have picked up Ronan Keller.
Nah.
Yeah, because he came from depth and at such pace that he was right in behind Cian Healy. So he was marking up the inside runner, which was him. And then they obviously
And for once, Gerard Steenekamp as a prop felt what it feels like to be a back.
Yeah.
When you have 3 guys running at you, and you have to make a decision.
You gotta pick one.
And if you miss the tackle, it's a try under the pole. So.
Ireland went back to what makes them good. The Boks went back to what makes them good. Absolute power there. Shemi, I know what you want to say about this, but we scored the try there. We even have sound for that clip.
Yeah, you got the feeling that was coming. You know, the Springboks, after getting their head, being penalized for being too aggressive, eventually something was going to give.
Yeah.
Something was going to give. And that's probably how the Springboks wanted to start, but they finished it. But I thought from a scrumming point of view, it's a nice way to finish. But I thought, again, I'll go back to it. I don't think they were giving enough of an opportunity to make it a scrum battle. And that's probably what we're going to see this coming weekend in Durban.
Before we get to this weekend in Durban, let's go there. What needs to change? Firstly, give me your 2, your 2 best Irish players, your 2 best SA players for the weekend.
Who do you want to go first?
I'll go SA first. For me, Jesse Creel and Peter Steph Tutoy.
Yeah.
I'd say those were the 2 guys.
Easy for me. I'm on the same.
Yeah.
Peter Steph was outstanding.
He was,
Right.
and Jesse as well. I thought you know, good carries. It was one of his better test matches, and the combination between him and Damien Delaney just so settled down. You still have Estes and Lukanya.
It's so nice to see him fulfill the attacking role, because so often at 13 South Africa, it's been about his defense.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ireland standout players.
Jamie Osborne for me was the best player by quite some margin. Also taking account it was a debut, and I've only actually seen him play 12 or 13 for Leinster.
Did another high ball, solid.
Superb.
I thought defensively worked pretty hard. Geez, to pick a second player, I'm trying to think in the forwards.
Look, James Lowe
Loris?
for me. James Lowe is constantly in the game.
Yeah.
Yes, a couple of calls went against him, but I mean, his ability to keep the ball alive in those outside channels, the offload for the try.
There's always something happening around him.
The second one was a Baird who scored the last try, where he just stepped Cheslin on the inside and then the offload. Scored one that didn't count.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, he gave 2 back to us.
I thought Casey played well before he got injured. There's that 50-22.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen Gibson Park so much playing for that Irish. I thought actually for a race start for him, I thought he actually did pretty well.
So on that point, then looking forward to the second test, so much to play for still. The Boks, obviously, they want a 2-zip result. Ireland will want to get back, knowing that it was so close. It could so easily have been the other way. What needs to change?
I think first, if you're Ireland, you've got to see what you've got left. You know,
exactly,
Casey's
because
out,
Casey's Sheehan looked, like his touch to James Lowe was spectacular, the one around the back. Probably a good chance that Henshaw is going to miss out if he is a HIA. I know he carried on playing, but then got subbed at halftime. Was it Porter who went off with a
finger,
but he came back on.
That is well.
Look, I tell you what, Sheehan gutsed it out because they strapped that knee and he carried on till half time. But you could see he was standing on the wing. he got that one ball, and he's
Yeah.
usually quite an abrasive ball carrier.
Yeah.
He's sort of looking for the
Yeah.
passes, trying to manage himself till the break.
If you look at the box, I would say we're going to go detail. Like, even though we scored those tries and we played with more width,
Breakdown.
the attention to detail wasn't spot on. Because of that, the breakdown lacked. So we got schooled at the breakdown, which would have been a big frustration for us. See, we all played under teams, and we know our hectic keys around that. And then 22 conversion. And we didn't maul a lot this weekend, so maybe the maul gets open this weekend. You know, we played around with different attacking ways, and I love the fact we didn't get a maul. And I think maybe the stats show that, like, if you maul in that middle area of the field nowadays, where the way teams swim around you and get to your number 9 and your rudder at the back, it's probably not the way to go forward. But yeah, I think it's keeping it simple and trying to have the same energy, because this emotion, the build-up, and players getting quoted for quotes they gave 8 months ago, that's gone this week. This is a different week.
Gone, yeah.
There's still, I think, something we can agree on. There's still so much to play for this weekend, and there's not a lot in it between these two teams.
Yeah.
They weren't at their best, both these sides. If they get even better this coming weekend, we are in for an absolute humdinger again. The show is called The Verdict for a reason. So give me your final verdict, Hanyani Shimange. Out of 10, what do you give the Boks for this weekend's performance?
Look, considering they haven't played together since the World Cup final, number 1 versus 2, haven't beaten Ireland in a while, be between 7.5 and an 8.
Only one number to give. Please, Hanyani
Okay, I'll be
Shimange.
positive because I'm excited about the direction they're
I
going.
like it when you're excited.
Yeah, I'd give it probably about an 8, considering these guys haven't played together since the World Cup final. You know, it's a good Irish team that play a lot together.
Yeah.
They play a similar style. It would have been a tough game to get through, and we haven't beaten them in a while. So I'd go an 8 for now, but with plenty of room for improvement.
8 out of
I've-
10.
I've got the same number. Like, I mean, I've played way too many games where you've played well and you've lost. Yeah. Like this game, like, we weren't perfect, but I think if you gave Rassie and his coaching team, you know, a win in Pretoria, it doesn't matter how, to go 1-0 up in a 2-match series, he would have taken it.
So, okay, Shimmy, 8 out of 10, your final verdict. 8 out of 10 for Schalk Burger, his final verdict as well. I'm going to go for a 7 out of 10 because I know that the Boks are so much better than that, even though it was a good performance against a very good Irish team. That is our final verdict. We're going to settle for 7.5 out of 10. Please do follow the verdict on all the social media platforms. This was our first episode. We're trying to get the hang of it, trying to figure out the big screen. In week 2, we will be better, and hopefully the Boks will be better as well. Give us your verdict. What do you think about that performance from the Boks in week 1? And after week 2, we shall chat again. Until next week, cheers.